Quick disclaimer, the comments made in this podcast are not meant to be hurtful or insulting to the authors of the highlighted fanfiction. Any seemingly degrading comments are made in jest and are not meant to be taken seriously. Similarly, anything read as part of the fanfictions do not represent the values of the hosts. Hello everyone, welcome back to Pick a Fic, the show where one of us, either me, Jason, or my co-host Micah, picks a fanfiction to present to the other to read for the first time. So, I've got an interesting one here. This one, it took me 300 billion hours to find it, but I think I found the best one ever made. And by that, I mean it's decent. I am going to... Actually, I'm just going to send this right away. I'm going to send you the link. Guess what franchise it is by the title. So just don't click the link. Just look at the title in the link.
Yeah, so I bring up every single application I need except email. Hold on.
Oh, here we go.
All right. Refreshing, nothing. Refreshing, nothing. Oh, there we go. Here we go. Okay. So I got, of course, fanfiction.net/Moonlight Sonata.
Yeah.
Wait.
So what franchise is this?
Okay, the word Sonata...
I'll give you a hint. It's a movie franchise.
Sonata sounds like a familiar word.
It's like a poem, song thing. I don't know exactly what it is.
Moonlight Sonata.
From what I previewed, I didn't see a sonata in here.
Give me like a date range. Like when did it release?
Mid 90s? I want to say 96. So let me look.
96 exactly.
95. December 22nd, 1995. So I was close.
Oh wait, is it Christmas? Ooh.
No, it's not. Oh, why did I say that? That's a hint. So it's not a Christmas movie. It just happened to release in December.
Oh, Die Hard. It's Die Hard.
Yes. Do you want to know? No, it's not. You want another hint?
95. Yeah.
Animated.
Okay. Immediately that comes to mind is like Disney, like during the Renaissance era, but I'm not thinking of anything.
I've given you enough hints to throw out a guess, and if you get it wrong, I'll give you another hint.
Can't be Beauty and the Beast, can it?
Wrong. Next hint: non-Disney 2D animation.
2D animation
or traditional, I guess.
Why am I not thinking of like it?
Because you won't.
Oh, well then just give me the answer.
Balto! We got a Balto
oh my God, we
fanfiction,
got a Balto!
Everyone. We got a Balto fanfiction.
Oh, I'm peeking.
Here.
Oh no. I'm so happy I'm peeking.
We got my boy Balto. Probably one of the more underrated movies of the 90s. I haven't seen it in a long time, but I don't care. It's good. I like Balto, and I found a lot. Well, I have 5 Balto fanfictions, which is a larger amount. I normally find like 2 or 3 per franchise. The only one with more is Star Fox, and I haven't even touched Star Fox yet. But we've got Balto.
Whoa.
This is called Moonlight Sonata. I messed that up even though you just said it. By Fievelkitten, I believe is how you say that. Balto becomes unhinged after the fight with Steel. Rated fiction, T, English, drama/horror, which is interesting. Which I believe we'll get to. I don't think we'll get to the horror part yet. We'll get to the drama for sure. It's from Balto. 4 chapters, 4,708 words, 3 reviews, 1 favorite. Updated, I should say published February 14th, 2013, updated March 9th, 2013. So I'm just going to lay a little bit of context. So I read through most of the first chapter. This takes place in the middle, or like the end of the movie, while Balto is leading the sled dog team to that city, and Steel like confronts him, doesn't he? And then like they have a fight, and he throws Steel off the cliff. We start off at that scene, like right when he throws Steel off the cliff, pretty much.
Okay.
So, other than that, it just kind of does its own thing. It doesn't go off the movie. I only, like I said, like read some of the first chapter, and I glanced at the chapter titles, which don't do because
Okay.
it spoils something. The
okay.
title of the last chapter vaguely spoils something. So I don't know what I was going to say. I just started saying something. So what do you think?
Balto is definitely an interesting choice, not one that I would have thought of in a million years. And it's been a while since I've seen Balto. I've only seen it once, and we saw it together.
Yeah, we watched the whole trilogy.
Yeah, okay, I remember
you forgot
that.
There was a trilogy.
I did forget there was a trilogy.
But you forgot what the second movie was. I didn't.
Oh wait, I think the second movie he finds his like dad, right? Or like another like wolf pack.
It's all about Alu, his daughter.
Oh right.
And she has an identity crisis because of plot reasons and goes off on an adventure. I don't even know if Balto was there. I don't remember him being there.
I think he was there.
He might have snuck.
I mean, the goose was there.
The goose. See, now I forgot about the goose, and now you reminded me about the goose.
Yeah.
I don't know if the goose is in this.
I really hope the goose is in here.
The only character it has is Balto, listed in the description. But there are definitely more characters, because as I said, Steel is in this, because it's right at the beginning. And Jen is in this. As far as I know, that's all the characters in this. So, yeah, so, of course, I'll be the narrator, since I presented it. So, there's not much dialogue.
Yeah, I'm
at
recalling...
least in the first chapter. It's, like, all at the bottom. So,
I'm recalling, like, the characters' voices, which... It's actually really, like, the voice acting is really good in Balto, because I, like, remember what the, like, how each character sounds, even though it's been like a good half decade since I've actually seen them.
I don't remember what their kids sound like, but I remember what they sound like.
I mean, you could just do typical yeah.
They're teenagers by the time the movie starts.
Daddy, god damn,
That's
so
what Alu
horny,
sounds
holy
like.
shit.
Oh, that's a different fan fiction, not this one. No, I'm kidding.
Also good show, like really good timing, because I just got back from college, and
you make it sound like you are out of town for college.
I guess like
you got back from your classes
today, and it was like storming out. I mean, not really like storming, but like
snowstorm.
Yeah,
I know. I have been downstairs.
It was pretty light, but the roads were very slippery, so it took me like twice as long to get home, and it's already like 20 minutes away. So yeah, definitely fits the mood.
So when you're editing this, you got to find just like the most obnoxious wind sound effect to play throughout the entire video. Yeah, just take that, isolate it, and loop it.
You can make some pretty cool wind sounds just with your mouth.
Yeah, so we're almost 9 minutes into this, so we should probably start reading.
All right.
So we're gonna do chapter 1 and 2. I think that's a good place to split it. I kind of, like I said, I scouted ahead. Do not click on the chapter drop down. Just click next, because like I said, it kind of it literally spoils.
Balto dies, by the way.
It is actually something like that.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not kidding.
Okay, good.
So if you're reading along with us on the website, don't do that either, unless you want to be spoiled for some reason. So yeah, we're gonna start. And by we, I mean I will start. Yeah. Any last things?
No. Definitely looking forward to this one.
All right, let's go. He watched in... Ooh, I bumped the table.
Again.
I keep doing that. I keep bringing my arm... Like, I put my arm kind of on my leg, and then I bring it up, and my watch, like, bumps.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you can hear it in the recording, but I've already scratched this. This thing's pretty new.
Oh, my gosh. Scratch your
I have a habit of doing that.
Your brand new Apple Watch.
It's not an Apple Watch.
Series 11.
It's not an Apple Watch. I'm
brand
not
new
that,
Apple Watch.
I'm not that bad of a person.
Full price on it.
It's a Garmin. I'm a little bad of a person, but not bad enough to get an Apple Watch. Let's start the fan fiction. He watched in slow motion as the world tilted around him and the ground vanished from his paws. He felt the back of his head and neck slam into something hard. The snow padded his fall as he slumped forward from the impact. Everything seemed to darken for a moment as he laid in the snow. He heard laughter to the right of him dimly. He tried to get to his feet, but between the snow and his unsteadiness, it took him a few tries. As he tried to focus, a sudden weight pulled on his neck. He stumbled around and came face to face with Steel. The black and white husky had a hold of Jenna's scarf and was tugging with all of his might. He felt himself slide as Steele's momentum dragged him through the snow. He tried to break away, but he felt weak from the blow he suffered. The rest of his body felt battered from the long journey. He made himself hold on as Steele clung to the scrap of cloth. The cliff loomed closer as he was pulled by the larger husky. Suddenly the scarf untied and Steele stumbled back. He hung in the air for a moment and then vanished over the side. The wolf dog ran to the edge and watched Steele's painful descent to the bottom of the cliff. Steele came to a loud rest at the end of the fall. The dog was still alive and struggled to his feet. Balto watched for a moment, then turned away. He ignored his injuries and joined the other sled dogs. The small dog at the front of the line held up the harness. He looked from the harness to the dog in confusion. When the dog puffed out his chest and held the harness higher, Balto slipped in and let the tresses settle over him. The weight was strange but wondrous to him. He felt like a leader. He commanded the dogs and they took off up the hill, leaving Steele behind to struggle by himself. Balto ran ahead with the team fanned out behind him. His head ached, but he wouldn't let it or his bruises ribs stop him from enjoying this moment. His paws ate up the miles, and the team followed his directions without hesitation. But none knew a darkness was lurking, that it was waiting to strike the team. They survived being lost, an avalanche, and a deadly tunnel to bring the medicine home. Balto was glad they only lost one container of the serum they needed to save the children. He held out his return as he and the team raced into town. People lined the streets as they slid to a halt before the small hospital. He looked over the team as he caught his breath. He was proclaimed a hero by the town. He had laughed at one dog's comment about having a statue built in his honor. He was just glad everyone would be okay. He barely noticed the deep throbbing in his skull. Alright, we're going to start to get a dialogue. Do you want to be Jenna?
Sure, I'll be Jenna. Oh no, do they not have quotations?
No, they do at the bottom.
Oh, okay, I've seen
This was just a good place to, because it's a break in the chapter, so I felt that I would ask because I realized I started asking and then never finished.
Yeah, no, I assume you're going to be Balto.
I can try Balto. I kind of remember what he sounds like.
Yeah.
You can be Jenna.
I'll be Jenna.
There's also a character named Rose. No, never mind. I'm reading too far ahead.
The only characters I remember is Balto, Jenna, the child, Steele, and the goose. If there's any other like surprise characters,
I mean, there might be.
I'm gonna fumble. I'm not gonna know what to do. We're gonna have to do some digging,
some YouTube research.
Yeah, some research. It's an hour long in-depth documentaries on the film.
But we don't pause the podcast, so it just keeps going as we're like looking.
You're just hearing in the background.
We're just like, whoa, that's so cool, but it's so like muffled you can't even tell what's happening. All right. A few weeks later, Balto laid curled up under a blanket. His paws twitched and kicked as he dreamed. He whined as a nightmare took over. He found himself falling into darkness. Balto looked around him as he heard creatures growling and snarling. Around him was darkness. Suddenly, a bright light lit up before him. Fearful of the dark, he chased after the light. The ground sucked at his paws as he ran. He had to get to that light. He pulled himself along as the ground clung harder to his paws. A raven swooped down. Okay, now we're in italices. A raven swooped down and struck at him. He cried out as it struck his head. The raven came after him again, and he was helpless against the attack. The bird struck at the wound along the back of his head. Balto saw red as pain washed over him. The attack stopped and the ground released his paws. Balto took off into the shadows as he searched for the light. The light would lead him home. Then the shadows took the form of big fir trees. They grew high to brush the reddened sky. Okay, I get it. I'm so bad at reading aloud.
I also want to butt in. I think it's italicized because this is his dream he's having.
Oh, I got it. That makes sense. Okay. He looked up at the trees as they surrounded him. He crouched away as red began to drip from the trees. Ruby drops splashed onto the black and became New word. Rivulets, as more drops followed. He cried out and turned to run, but he was surrounded on all sides by the red. Sorry, it's just, I said new word as if it was like collecting something in a video game. Just like, yo, I found a new word, look at this. But it's just like a
new word obtained.
Yeah. Alright. He panicked as the red brushed against his paws. He looked for a way to escape, but the red was rising fast. It was soaking into his chest as he struggled towards the light that shone in the distance. It reached up his neck as he tried to swim through the syrupy muck. But the red was dragging him down. It clung to his legs and pulled as he swam. He howled out as the blood engulfed his head and he suffocated in the ruby darkness. Alright, we're out of the dream. It is back to normal typeface. He awoke screaming as the dream let him go. He got a hold of himself and flopped down onto his side. His coat was soaked in sweat and the blanket was entangled in his limbs. He worked himself out of the blanket and dragged himself over to the open door of the wheelhouse he slept in. He took deep breaths and looked out at the barely rising sun. That dream had been terrifying, and if Boris were there, he would have told him that it meant something. Balto only knew that he would never wanted to have it again for as long as he lived. He shook out his coat and jumped down to the shore below. His paws sank into the cold wetness of the snow, and it felt wonderful. He decided that since he was up, he would go see Jenna. Maybe she could take his mind off that horrible dream. With a destination in mind, Balto started off at an easy trot. His head throbbed in rhythm to his gait, and he slowed to a walk. He sometimes forgot the pain in his skull and neck because it was a constant companion since his fight with Steel. Thinking of the black and white husky brought a cruel smile to Balto's face. The hotshot was low on the social ladder since the town's dogs found out he had lied about his involvement with bringing the precious medicine home. Balto had saved the town and found love with Jenna as Steel was forced to the outside. Though some of the dogs still picked on Balto, it didn't happen as often. Everything was looking up for the wolf dog. Now, if only the pain in his head would go away, then everything would be perfect. He soon reached Jenna's home. It was a quaint place, and was much nicer than his stranded boat on the shore. But Balto knew most people were still uncertain about him, so he was fine with his home. He howled for Jenna, and soon the red and cream husky joined him outside. She was a lovely dog with dainty paws that were in contrast to his large wolfish paws.
You're up early this morning.
She trotted up to him and nuzzled his cheek. Didn't sleep so well, so I decided to drop by. He felt a warmth in his cheeks.
My girl and I has gone out for a trip later on in the morning.
Jenna gazed up at him, her soft brown eyes full of love. I hope you two have a good time together. Balto sat back on his haunches and felt the nightmare fade into the glow of Jenna's love and attention. He could sit near her forever easily. It wasn't just her beauty that struck him, though. She was smart, brave, and was willing to fight a bear for him despite her softer upbringing. What more could he ask of such a gem?
I should go back in. Rosie will wonder where I am. I'll see you later today.
She licked his cheek and then disappeared into the house. He waited in the snow until he couldn't see her anymore. He rose up and headed further into town. Maybe he could be just... Wow. Like he could beat someone up. Maybe he could get a piece of sausage from the butcher. Ever since he saved the town, he got a few perks like a secreted piece of meat or a warm stove to nap by. He passed the blacksmith's and soon came to the butcher's shop. He slipped through the back and waited as the butcher finished up with his customers. Balto yipped and the burly man turned.
See, I came to get some food. Hold on.
The man lumbered over to a string of sausages and grabbed one. He tossed it to Balto, who wolfed it down with a few bites. He yipped a farewell and ran off to do something else. The throbbing in his skull grew insistent. All right. First chapter thoughts. What do you think?
I think it's competent so far. Proper writing etiquette and it's describing things properly, and it's all coming back to me with the events of the movie. I forgot Jenna was already owned by someone, I believe.
Right.
And I forgot
she was owned by a little girl.
Yeah, and
wasn't she sick? I think that was
I think
like
she was
part of the
sick
motivation Balto
girl.
had.
Right. And then Boris is the goose.
Boris is the
I
goose.
really hope we get some Boris action in the next chapter.
Yeah. Not a lot of. There's a little bit of like, there's a like a paragraph where like the author repeated the same thing twice, just in a different way, but I'm also like second guessing a lot of meanings because I'll read like half of a sentence and I'll be like, that doesn't make any sense at all. And since I'm used to the bad fan fictions that we read, I stop and I'm about to go, what do they mean by this? But then I read the rest of the sentence. I'm like, oh, that makes perfect sense.
Unfortunately,
and I'm just like,
I don't think that's going to change anytime soon.
Yeah.
But otherwise, like, I like it so far. It's actually pretty engaging. I just want to watch the film now. That film's so good.
Yeah, it is. Rip Balto, you're a real one.
Oh my gosh.
I say weird things to start sentences when I don't want to. I wonder what it would be like if you didn't know what Balto was and you start reading this and I'm talking about paws and wolf dogs and
I'm not gonna lie, I'd be very engaged if I never like this is like a really good like cold opening if you don't have any context to to the source material. I still find it funny how he still doesn't have a home. He's still
that too. He's still homeless. And like in the movies they did that too. Like in the 2 sequels, he still just lived in like the shipwreck or whatever.
Probably because of Boris. No one wanted to take Boris in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, see, because Balto would be like, I will not leave my friends behind, and then they're just like, oh, that's fine. And they see Boris, and like, never mind, that's not fine. Get out of here. They live with Boris for a day, and he's just like pooping everywhere and like screeching because like the humans don't understand them. So he would literally just be like goose squealing, honking everywhere.
But though he's like French, right? He's like, oh, the.
I thought he was Russian.
Oh yeah,
Russian, right?
He's like, okay, wait.
Like, if he was French, you wouldn't be able to understand him because he'd be like,
oh, the photo, like, hey, they're going. Yeah,
sure
I guess
Russian.
That's more Russian.
Stereotypical Russian guy. Or goose, I should say. Sorry. Don't mean to assume species here. All right, this is a shorter chapter, but it'll still be a good stopping spot.
Can I click the next button?
Click the next button. Okay. Just don't click the drop down. That would spoil
the music. Oh, that spoils everything.
No, it's the name of the last chapter that spoils what happened in the last chapter. Okay. It's so stupid. Anyway, all right, we'll start chapter 2.
The music.
Yeah. Chapter 2, the music. He watched as the sun sank behind a rosy cloud bank. He enjoyed watching sunsets. They always seemed to differ from each other, and the sun never seemed to set the same way. Okay, see, that's what I mean. Like, he said they always seem to differ from each other, and then describes that in a different way by saying, and the sun never seemed to set the same way.
Okay, but that just seems like something I would also like write. Like,
I'm not saying it's not horrible. It's way better than the other ones we've read, but like, it's just... That's just what I meant, because I don't know if I described that.
Yeah, I think you'd have to like go into like schooling and stuff to like actually like learn about this stuff. Because like, of course you don't realize it when you're writing it.
Probably not, but then that's what proofreading is.
True.
And like, remember My Immortal? Remember that one?
Oh,
that's the one that
just overly describes every like.
For context, that's a Harry Potter in quotes fan fiction that internet historian read on a second channel. Well, the first episode on the main channel, and in like the middle of the story, like this person had a bunch of author's notes and said that they found a proofreader and it didn't improve at all.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Like, I have like this person reading the sentences now or something, and it's just like it didn't improve. It didn't get worse.
Oh, I can't wait to get to that one. That'll be a special milestone.
That'll be like when we get like 100 bajillion subscribers.
Yeah.
When we finally make money. Maybe when we finally get monetized on YouTube.
So subscribe anyway.
Okay, yeah. I'll just start that over because that was 2 sentences. He watched as the sun sank behind a rosy cloud bank. He enjoyed watching sunsets. They always seemed to differ from each other, and the sun never seemed to set the same way twice. It was a... Well... My brain just like loses itself. It was ritual and yet different.
It's gonna be
Sorry,
a
I'm gonna
tough
stop it
one
again
to
because
edit.
my brain fills in like what I would say, not what's actually on the page. So I was gonna say it was a ritual and yet it was different, but it says on the page it was ritual and yet different. But like I don't, I'm bad. I'm bad at reading out loud, and I should stop interrupting myself.
Mm-hmm.
He heaved out a sigh of contentment. The base of his skull throbbed, but it barely bothered him except on very bad days. He turned his gaze from the sunset and towards the town. They seemed so content to stay in the warmth while he was out here freezing by himself. His lips curled in resentment as a growl rumbled in his chest. He deserved the warmth, not them. His claws dug into the wood as anger washed over him. He bared his fangs at the town as images of red washed over his eyes. As soon as the flash of anger came, it vanished, leaving Balto adrift. Where had these thoughts come from? He backed away from the sight of the town. He wanted to murder everyone. He shook himself and ran along the shore. He had to get himself under control. He kept running, trying to put the town far behind. Something was becoming very wrong for the wolf dog. As he ran, a strange sound hummed in his ears. At first, he thought it was the wind brushing his ear fur, but it grew louder and louder. It was eerie and he wanted it to go away, but it was persistent like his heartbeat. He ran faster, hoping that the sound of his paws would drown out the sound. It kept up and grew louder in response. It was driving him crazy. Suddenly, he crashed into a solid object. Without thinking, he struck the object and was rewarded with blood flooding his mouth. The music seemed to fade with the taste of blood. He tore into the animal more and the song faded away. He staggered away from his victim as the crazed moment passed. The coppery taste bathed his tongue and throat. Blood flecked his face and coated his muzzle. He looked like a monster. He didn't look at the mangled remains as he stumbled away. His stomach roiled and clenched at the thought of what he had done. He had a few feet of distance between him and the dead body before his legs gave out under him. He puked up the contents of his stomach and laid there in misery. His head wasn't throbbing as much as he took relief in the lack of pain. He laid in the snow and felt its coldness seep into his coat. His eyes grew heavy as his temperature dropped. He soon was in a deep sleep, his mind quiet at last. So that took a turn.
I like completely lost it after like.
So he started getting rage mode, and then he just ran into an unknown animal and just killed it violently.
Oh, okay. I knew that something died, but I didn't know
Yeah, so the
what or how.
solid object it said that he ran into was an animal.
Oh, I was thinking it was like a tree or something.
Yeah, me too. But then it's just like, and then he slashed it, and blood started. What?
Whoa,
Okay, I guess
that's
this is a living thing.
crazy.
Yeah, Okay. Let's continue this dark and twisted tale. Ooh. Oh, this should have been the Halloween episode. Come on. It's spooky because he killed someone.
That's what makes the Halloween episode. Someone dies, apparently.
Hours later, Balto opened his eyes and shook out his coat. A light covering of snow fell away as he stretched his stiff limbs. He exhaled a breath and looked around. He had no idea of where he was, and he didn't remember anything before waking up. He rose to his stiff paws and limped through the snow. As he limped, the stiffness left his body, and he was able to walk more smoothly. The moon was higher in the sky than before he collapsed. He picked up his pace as the sounds of the town reached his ears. He wanted to meet up with Jenna. When he reached town, though, he noticed a shift in people. They were distracted and calling out someone's name. As he drew near a person, he heard the name they were calling. It was Steele. Before he could ponder this, Jenna came bounding up. She was out of breath, and her eyes reflected worry. Have you... Oh, sorry.
Have you seen Steele?
She stopped just short of him. No. His chest burned with anger. She hadn't seemed to worry about him, and he had been missing as well.
Are you alright?
Her brown eyes focused intently on him. Fine. So, how long has he been missing? He bit out. Oh wait, no, sorry. Jenna had the grace to flinch from his anger. Inwardly, he smiled at the brief show of fear of him.
He's been missing since earlier. He was supposed to meet me at sundown.
Balto's fur bristled, but he kept himself in check. Meet you? She nodded and took a step back.
I think my girl is calling me. Goodbye, Balto.
He watched as the slender husky took off. He turned away and walked silently through town. His mind churned with the thoughts of Jenna and Steele. Was she cheating on him with the dumb brood? He would show that cocky husky the errors of his ways. Balto stomped his paw into the snow as he formulated a plan to take down Steele. It was going to be perfect. The perfect murder.
Whoa.
And we'll leave there.
The music.
That was the music. The music that was mentioned for like two sentences at the beginning.
Wow, what a twist! What a little cliffhanger. How many chapters are there?
4. So we're halfway done.
Okay, so
I imagine the next 2 will be shorter, but still.
Yeah, I mean, it's like what, 4,500? Yeah, around there.
4,708 exactly.
8 words. So we should have this finished by next week.
Well, next week will be your podcast or fan fiction. I keep calling them podcasts.
Next week.
So 2 weeks from now will be the epic conclusion to mid.
You can't speak today, can you?
I can't read out loud because.
Well, don't worry. The next one,
Moonlight Sonata.
The next one I'm choosing is I'm definitely going to be reading.
First, though, I was kind of burying the lead a little bit. Chapter 4 is called Balto Loses Jenna.
Oh.
Now, that's going to be the cliffhanger because does she die or does he get dumped? That's up for you to find out in the next episode of Pick a Fic. Subscribe, like, comment, give us money somehow. I don't know how. Anyway, goodbye.
Thanks for watching. Bye.
Or listening.
Gosh dang it.